G'day folks, and welcome back to the story of Moz. After about 5 years of working in the mining department, I felt like I needed to do something that's a little more challenging. So a position became available in the processing plant for a metallurgist. And being a metallurgist, I thought I'd apply for it. I got it. So I moved into the processing plant as the plant metallurgist in this operation. This episode I'll divide up into a few parts, mainly because I want to explain what processing is and add a few stories, and so it's easier to just split it up a little bit. So sit back, relax, and listen to Moz Goes Processing.
Let me tell you a story about a man named Moz who worked underground in Oz. Then one day he had enough of digging, went to the process plant and had a go at milling. Ore, that is, mineral concentrate, copper, lead, zinc.
Alright, in this part, what I'll just do is go through what happens in a processing plant. Just the basics, nothing too fancy. I'll go through it and explain the bits and pieces. A lot of people ask me, what does a metallurgist do in a processing plant? Well, my response is normally, we make rocks float. And how do we do that? Well, first we've got to grind it up, and grind it up small enough so they can float. And that's generally carried out in grinding mills that you can see behind me. These mills generally have steel balls in them to help break up the rock to very, very fine particles. And this is all done with water, so it turns into a slurry. And then that slurry, once it's ground up enough, the fines are separated from the coarse particles using hydrocyclones. The fines then feed the flotation plant, while the coarse particles go back through the mill again and get hit up again. So we start the flotation process, the thing that makes rocks float. Okay, first thing, as you can see in the diagram behind me, there's a conditioning tank where the ore slurry is fed into. We change the chemical environment of the slurry by adding chemicals. One of the chemicals actually reacts with or coats particles of wanted mineral, making them hydrophobic. That means they're afraid of water. And they want to get out of there. In essence, that's what they want to do. So to help that along, that slurry is then fed into the flotation process. And as it goes into the flotation process, as you can see, the air bubbles are pumped through these tanks that are stirred. They form a froth. The particles that are hydrophobic, they want to just get out of that water, so they attach themselves to the bubbles, and those particles, as I said, are the valuable minerals that we're chasing. So that floats to the surface, and all the unwanted materials goes out the tailings. Now, in a flotation process, or the ones I work with, the copper, lead and zinc, the first thing that is floated is the copper, which has been the easiest to float. Then the tails or the tailings material or waste material from that process feeds into the lead flotation circuit. Same process again, the chemicals are added, changing the chemical environment again to suit lead. Another chemical put in to do exactly the same thing as the copper, to coat the lead particles making them hydrophobic, and they want to float out. From the lead circuit, then the tailings from that, it's a little bit different when we go into zinc. That feeds the zinc circuit. There are no specific chemicals that will make zinc particles hydrophobic. So what's done is a bit, I call it a sleight of hand. Copper sulfate is added into the chemical mix in the conditioning tank, and that copper sulfate coats the zinc particles in a molecular layer of copper. So the chemicals that are put in there think it's copper and do the same thing again, and away it goes. And finally you've got three products: copper, lead, zinc, and a tailings product which is pumped out to the tailings dam. Now what do we do with that? Well, with those three products, they need to be filtered. Well, it starts with dewatering in what's called a thickener, so the bulk of the water is removed and recycled back through the plant. Then what's left is a very thick slurry. That very thick slurry is fed into filter. That filter then removes the water from that, and we have not a dry concentrate, but a product which generally is between 7 and 9% moisture, which is a good moisture for transport. It keeps everything together and doesn't create dust and all that sort of stuff. So then that goes off to the customers who are chasing it. The tailings, what's left over, as I said before, is disposed of in a tailings dam which is specifically built and designed to contain this material. So look, there you have it. In essence, that's what happens in a processing plant, just quickly. You can call it processing 101 if you want. So yeah, if you stick around for the other episodes, I'll have a yarn about a few stories and some events that I've seen happen there and some stories that I heard of, etc. So I'll catch you in the next part. Cheers.